Hello, everyone, and good morning. We are the Group 4, and today we're going to be talking about Taoism. So, Taoism is one of the first formed religious systems in the lands of China, and as represented by the symbol, the yin and the yang, Taoism brings forth the idea that everything in the universe is connected and that nothing makes sense by itself. So, for this report, we will be talking about the history, the life of the founder, the core teachings and beliefs, existing practices and traditions, mode of worship or festives, and the holy symbols associated with Taoism.
Before we dig into the life of the founder, traditions, beliefs, mode of worships, and the holy symbols of Taoism, let's talk about first its history or origin. Taoism as a religion began at the year 142 CE with the revelation of the Tao Tu Zhang Daoling or Chang Taoling by the personified god of the Tao Lao Tzu. Taoism has no founder and no founding date, but it has been connected to philosopher Lao Tzu around 500 BCE. So, it grows out of various religious and philosophical traditions, including shamanism and nature religion. Early religious Taoism was rooted in the ideas of the Taoist thinkers, to which were added local religious rituals and beliefs, both to provide examples of the Taoist philosophy and integrate Taoism into the worldviews of all levels of the Chinese people. Taoism was first recognized as a religious system during the 3rd and the 4th centuries BCE. The publication of the Tao Te Ching and other works provided a focus of the Taoist thinking. Taoism became a semi-official religion during the Tang Dynasty and continued during the Song Dynasty. As Confucianism gained its popularity, Taoism gradually fell from favor and changed from an official religion to a popular religious tradition. It was said to be known at 8th century. However, during the communist takeover in the year 1959, Taoism, Confucianism, and other religions were banned. This caused a decline the practice of Taoism in China. Many modern Taoists live in Taiwan, although recent reforms in China have increased the number of Chinese Taoists. On the other hand, after the end of the Cultural Revolution and the Chinese government began to allow a small measure of religious freedom, Taoism began to revive in China, and Taoist temples practitioners can now be found throughout the country.
Now let's talk about the life of Taoism's founder, Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is a Chinese legendary and historical figure who is considered to be the founder of Taoism. Lao Tzu was flourished during the 6th century BCE in China. He is also known as Lao Tzu, which means Old Master or Master Lao. He is traditionally named as the author of the Tao Te Ching or Tao Te Ching, translated as the classic of the way and virtue. Tao Te Ching is the Taoism's most sacred text, though modern scholars hold that the work had more than one author. Legends about his life abound, but little or no certain information survives. According to some modern scholars, however, Lao Tzu is entirely legendary, there was never a historical Lao Tzu. In religious Taoism, Lao Tzu is revered as a supreme deity. The historical Lao Tzu, if he existed, may have been a scholar and caretaker of sacred books at the royal court of the Zhou dynasty. The most common biographical account of his life is recorded in Sima Qian's Shiji, or Records of the Grand Historian, which is believed to have been written around 100 BC. According to legend, he was carried 72 years in his mother's womb before emerging as a fully grown man with a gray beard, a symbol of wisdom in ancient China. He met Confucius as a young man. The story has been much discussed by the scholars. It is mentioned elsewhere, but the sources are so inconsistent and contradictory that the meeting seems to be a mere legend. During the supposed interview, Lao Tzu blamed Confucius for his pride and ambition, and Confucius was so impressed with Lao Tzu that he compared him to a dragon that rises to the sky, riding on the winds and clouds. Lao Tzu is venerated as a philosopher by Confucians and as a saint or god in popular religion and was worshipped as an imperial ancestor during the Tang dynasty. So Lao Tzu has never ceased to be generally respected in all circles in China. To the Confucians, again, he was a venerated philosopher. To the people, he was a saint or a god, and to the Taoists, he was an emanation of the Tao and one of their greatest divinities. Regardless of historical perspectives on his existence, Laozi and the Tao Te Ching helped to shape modern China and had a lasting impact on the country and its cultural practices.
Spirituality of Taoism in terms of their teachings and beliefs. The Taoist spirituality is centered on the question what is the best way to live. Hence, the ultimate concern of the adherents of Taoism is to strive to live their lives at its best. In order to fulfill their ultimate end, the Taoists believe that the best way to live is to live in harmony with the Tao. Living in oneness with the Tao entails awareness and understanding on the concept of yin-yang in the application of principle of Wu Wei. So for the Taoists, it is very important that they live a harmonious life together with the Tao for them to achieve their ultimate end. But first, let us know what Tao is. The Tao. The core of the basic belief and doctrine of Taoism is that Tao is the origin and law of all things in the universe. As the Tao is the origin of everything, all creatures in the universe are interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent. It also serves as the guiding law within every being. Taoists do not consider the Tao as God, rather it is an invisible and powerful energy that cannot be perceived but can be observed and experienced in the things of the world. Thus, Taoists are expected to begin in observing and following the natural order of the universe in order to achieve oneness with the Tao. So Tao is hard to define, but we know that it is the source of all creation. And also it is not a human being or God. Since it is invisible, Tao is usually translated as what as way or path. It is the right or proper way of existence of Taoism. In order to live a harmonious life with Tao, Taoism believes that they should follow, respect, and be mindful with their action towards their environment. Also, human language can only give an idea of what it is, just like describing what Tao is. So, in other words, the Tao is unexplainable, yet it is very present for Taoism. Next would be the yin and yang. Yin translates to dark or shaded, while yang translates to bright or sunny. The alternating black and white colors in the circle represents the duality and opposition existing in natural phenomena. Examples include male and female, life and death, and day and night. This concept of yin and yang refers to the perspective of the Taoists about the reality. In Taoism, the reality is viewed in a holistic manner. In essence, everything in reality is one and the same. Hence, it refers to a concept of universal oneness. So the main point of yin and yang is that even though we have these opposing forces, or we are different, this doesn't mean that it contradicts, that it complements each other, and we are still considered as one. And also, and therefore it creates a harmony and balance in the universe. As Lao Tzu puts in, yin and yang is like the reality of breathing. Breathing in and out allow us, human being, to continue living. Wu Wei. The principle of Wu Wei is the heart of what it means to follow the way. It literally means non-action or without action. As Lao Tzu puts in, the way never acts, yet nothing is left undone. However, the principle of Wu Wei does not mean doing nothing, per se, which implies laziness or mediocrity. Rather, it means to act naturally and let things run in its natural course. In other words, Wu Wei means effortless acting by being at peace while doing a particular task intelligently. So, in the principle of Wu Wei, it is to follow the way. It is also kind of going with the flow that is characterized by a great at ease and awareness in which, without even trying, they were able to respond perfectly to whatever situation may arise. So, living in the principle of Wu Wei also entails resiliency, just like the bamboo na maghangin, it bends. So, it shows that it is capable and it learns to adjust in any situation that can occur. Wu also implies living a simple lifestyle, avoiding excesses, being unattached to the things of the world, and being content with what one has.
Taoism practices and traditions, which are purity, meditation, breathing, recitation,
talismans, energy flow, martial arts, body, and spirit. Physical practices. Because Taoism doesn't make a rigid decision between body and spirit, it recognizes that physical actions have a spiritual effect. In purity, Taoist texts teach the importance of keeping the body pure in order to ensure spiritual health. To remain pure, a person should avoid certain activities and foods. An example of those that should be avoided are greed, lust, pride, and dishonesty. And also, when it comes to food, they shouldn't be eating meat, beans, and grains, and also they shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Meditation. Meditation is important to many Taoists. Why is it important? Since Taoists look to meditation to unite the body, mind, and spirit. Meditation is meant to have a practitioner from a focus on the physical body to the psychological mind and finally to a spiritual level. Taoists believe that meditation helps them unite with the universe, with other people, and also with the nature. Meditation rituals are practiced in various temples, which creates mental stillness and enhance mindfulness. This can give a person the mental space to know the Tao directly. Breathing. Breathing is the most easily perceived form of qi, and there are many Taoist breathing exercises. An example of that is qigong. Qigong is believed to promote health by allowing your energy or qi to flow through the body. Recitation. Reciting passages from the Tao Te Ching has been a spiritual practice for over 2,000 years. For people who couldn't read and write, it was an important way to learn the text. But even for those who could read, recitation was a vital expression of devotion and a way of spiritual growth. Talismans. Talismans are objects thought to have the power to bring good luck. In Taoist traditions, talismans are strips of paper in which are written words of power and religious symbols which focus benevolent spiritual energies to purify, heal the sick, and drive away evil spirits. Energy flow. The flow of life energy within the body can be enhanced and harmonized by various forms of exercises, meditations, and techniques. The chi that flows at the surface of the body as a protective sheath is called Wei Qi or protective qi. According to the Taoistic cosmology, the two most fundamental forms of qi are yin qi and yang qi, the primordial feminine and masculine energies. Martial arts. Tai Chi, originally derived from Taoist exercises, which was created by Chang Sanfeng. Even before the arrival of religious Taoism, Wudangshan was the home of many occult masters. It later evolved into a center for internal martial arts, taking defense as a purpose, attacking only when threatened, and relying completely on inner energy. Lastly, body and spirit. A true understanding of Taoist practice can only be obtained by studying with a Taoist master because many of the liturgical and practical elements of Taoism are taught through an oral tradition not fully documented. Taoist doesn't make a rigid decision between body and spirit in regards to physical activities such as yoga, meditation, martial arts as an important way to spiritual growth and long life.
I'm gonna discuss the mode of worship of Taoism. A Taoist temple is a place of worship in Taoism. A Chinese Taoist temple, generally called Gong, Guan, or Miao in Chinese, it is a holy hall where Taoists perform their religious ceremonies. Taoist temples of different scales are scattered all over China. Generally, they can be divided into three kinds: palace-like, ordinary temples, and simple hut or caves. Entrance of the temples have sculptures of a dragon and a tiger on either side. Taoists have many places of worship, including many temples where Taoists perform ceremonies and various rituals that including bringing offerings for the Taoist deities, meditation, divination, and other practices. People pray in orderly fashion with a thought to honoring the gods in the right way and to accessing good energy. So there are also gods and deities in Taoism, and here are the some. The first one is the three pure ones. In most Taoist temples, the three pure ones are worshipped. The three purities or the three pure ones are the highest deities in the Taoist pantheon. They function for Taoism in a similar way to the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit of Christianity. The first of the three purities is the Jade Pure One, also known as the universally honored One of Origin or the celestial worthy of the primordial beginning. The Jade Pure One, who is the central deity of the three purities, is said to have spontaneously manifested at the beginning of time. This Pure One created the first writing system by observing the various flows of universal life force energy and recording these patterns of sound, movement, and vibration on jade tablets. The second of three purities is the Supreme Pure One, also known as the universally honored One of divinities and treasures, or the celestial worthy of the numinous treasure. The Supreme Pure One is the attendant of the Jade Pure One and is given the task of revealing Taoist scriptures to the lesser gods and humans. The third of the three purities is the Grand Pure One, also known as the universally honored One of Tao and virtues, the celestial worthy of the way and its power, or the Grand Supreme Elder Lord. He is the most eminent aged ruler, which is why he is the only pure one depicted with pure white hair and beard. Next is the primeval Lord of Heaven, Yu Huang. Yu Huang is the great high god of the Taoists, the Jade Emperor. He rules heaven as the Emperor, thou earth. All other gods must report to him. His chief function is to distribute justice, which he does through the court system of hell, where evil deeds and thoughts are punished. Next is the three divine officials. The three divine officials are the official of heaven, which is on the left side, the official of earth at the center, and the next is the official of water. It is said that the official of heaven bestows blessings, the official of earth pardons sins, and the official of water eliminates disaster or misfortune. Next is the Queen Mother of the West, Xiangmu, is believed to be the highest goddess in Taoism, the goddess in charge of the happiness and the longevity of human beings. She is said to have an elixir that can make people live forever and never grow old. Taoism raises her to a very high position, regarding her as the leader of all the goddesses. Lastly are the eight immortals. In Taoism, it is believed that there are eight immortals or Ba Shan who carry the power of giving life and vanquishing evil. Whether regarded as historical, semi-historical, or legendary characters, the eight immortals represents the ability to transform into different creatures and objects, to heal, to predict the future, and a lot more. So here are the eight immortals. The first one is He Xiangu, the only woman among the immortals. She is often depicted carrying a lotus flower said to improve one's mental and physical health. Next is Cao Gu Jiwu, the finest dressed of all the immortals. He is always depicted in court dress and often seen holding an official castanets. Next is Tai Guai one of the most recognizable of the eight immortals as he is lame. He is usually depicted carrying a gourd slung over his shoulder, from which he dispenses medicine to heal the sick. Next is Lan Kai, one of the one of the eight immortals is represented by a basket of fruit or flowers. A decorated basket of flowers represented riches. Lan Kai is sometimes depicted as a male, but other times as a female. Next is Lu Dongbin. This may be the best known of all the immortals and is sometimes considered their leader. His magic sword that dispels evil spirits and provides him with invisibility. Next is Han Xiangzi. He is represented as a happy man. Han Xiangzi is often depicted carrying a flute and is regarded as a patron deity of musicians. Next is Xiang Guolao, the immortal that is always shown carrying a long bamboo cane, that so-called fish drum. For Taoists, he is regarded as a protector of children as a patron of wine and the good life. Next is Zhongli Quan. His attribute is a fan, which he can resurrect the dead and transform stones into precious metals. Usually is featured with a long bird reaching to his navel. Next is the holiday seasons of Taoism. The Chinese observe a wide variety of traditional and modern holidays, based both on the lunar and solar calendars. Here are the four main Taoist holidays. The Chinese New Year, or the Spring Festival. It is one of the most popular holidays in the world. It begins on Chinese New Year's Eve and ends with the Lantern Festival. The holiday is accompanied by a belief in a good fortune. There are many decorations around the herald the New Year. During this holiday, citizens celebrate by visiting temples to pray and burn thin wooden Chinese sticks called the incense. As for parades, festivals are full of excitement with various types of entertainment, including firecrackers, activities, and dragon dancers. Next is the Lantern Festival. It is one of the celebration of the first full moon of the year. According to Taoism, this festival celebrates the birthday of Taoist god Tianguan, a Taoist deity who brings good fortune. Lanterns are hung to worship the gods who are responsible for bringing positivity and fortune. As a tradition of the Lantern Festival, people eat tangyuan, a kind of dumpling made of sweet rice and rolled into ping-pong-sized balls and filled with sweet fillings. Eating Tang Yuan symbolizes family, unity, and happiness. Next is the Tong Sweeping Day. The Chinese, especially Taoists, celebrate the Tong Sweeping Day, formerly known as the Qingming Festival. The Qingming Festival is the day when Chinese people visit graves or burial sites of their ancestors. The people present offerings such as food, tea, wine, chopsticks, and sweep the tombs of the deceased, and do not cook any sort of food that day. During the holiday, only cold food is served. Although this holiday may seem tragic, it also exists as a time to consider hopes for the upcoming season of spring. Last is the Dragon Boat Festival, also known as Duan Wu Festival, is a traditional and important celebration in China. The Dragon Boat Festival started as a celebration of the life of Qiu Wan, a prominent member of Zhou dynasty. He worked to get rid of the corruption in the Zhou dynasty. His opinions were not popular and he was forced out of his position. When the Zhou dynasty fell, he committed suicide by jumping into a river on the fifth day of the fifth month. The Dragon Boat Festival exists because of his poem. During the festival, people race dragon boats and eat a food called zongzi, which is a type of rice ball. Next would be Ella March, and she will discuss the holy symbols of Taoism.
So in this juncture, I'll be discussing the holy symbols of Taoism. So the Taoist symbols are unlike most symbols in other religions. While this teaching has a couple of standard symbols, similar to what most of us understand as symbols, most other symbols in Taoism are charts and diagrams that represent the teachings of Taoism. So Taoists would fly triangular and rectangular flags with these diagrams over their temples and houses. So in this part is I'll be discussing six symbols of Taoism. So the first symbol is the Taijitu, or also known as the Yin Yang symbol. So the Yin Yang symbol is probably the most common popular Taoist symbol and Chinese symbol in general. It is also often used in Confucianism, which also focuses on achieving balance and harmony. So the yin and yang symbolizes the harmony between opposite forces and the duality of things. So the yin is the darker side of the circle, which represents dark, moon, water, cold, softness, femininity, passiveness, and stillness. And the yang is the um, lighter side of the circle, which represents light, sun, fire, warmth, hardness, masculinity, activeness, and movement. So the curved line that separates the yin and yang represents the movement and the dynamic flow of energies. And the dots of opposing colors, which can be seen on both sides, symbolizes that neither is absolute but contains some of its opposite within it. So the yin and yang are present in all things such as love, career, or life in general. So opposing forces must be balanced the right way in order to achieve harmony. The symbol represents completion and the duality is required in order to achieve equilibrium. So the next symbol are the dragons and phoenixes. So both of these mythological creatures have a strong symbolism in Taoism. It is often used together because they are often viewed as a variation of the yin and yang symbol, as the dragon symbolizes masculinity and the phoenix represents femininity. So, both of these creatures have also been long viewed as symbols of the Chinese emperors and empresses. So, the next symbol is the five element chart. So, the five-element chart is a complex teaching tool that showcases Taoist cycles of generation and control as well as the five elements of nature. So according to Taoism, the five elements of nature include wood, which is represented by the color green, fire that is represented by the red color, earth which is represented by the yellow color, earth which is represented by the white color, and water which is represented by the blue color. So the five element chart also express the complex relationship between the five elements, which are the Shen creation cycle, the Cheng overacting cycle, the cycles of imbalance, and much more. So the next symbol is the Lupan compass. So this is a device that is commonly used in feng shui. So the Lupan compass is a complex device that helps Taoists evaluate the spiritual energies of a particular place, and this helps them to figure out how to arrange or rearrange their homes according to it. So there are several different variants of the Lupan compass, but each is shaped like a circular disc with a magnetic center with multiple number rings around it, so each containing a complex symbol or a Taoist orientation system. So next is the Taijitu Shu. So the Taijitu is the original name of the yin yang symbol, which is mentioned earlier. So the Taijitu Shu, however, is the name of a complex diagram that represents the supreme polarity in Taoism. Simply put, this diagram shows the entire Taoist cosmology as it was understood back then. So the symbol comprises of five main components. First is an empty circle at the top that stands for Wuji, or the undifferentiated timelessness of cosmos. Below the empty circle is an early version of the yin yang or the Taijitu symbol, which represents balance and harmony that all Taoists strive for. In the middle is a simpler version of the five element chart representing the building blocks of the universe. And below the five element chart are the two empty circles that represents the myriad things of the world. So lastly is the Bagua, which is almost similar to the five element chart. However, the Bagua has eight triagrams, and it is a complex diagram that directly showcases a large part of the Taoist teachings. So the Bagua consists of the symbols of the Supreme Yang, the Lesser Yang, the Supreme Yin, and the Lesser Yin. So around the Yin-Yang system, there are eight circles and corresponding complex triagrams. So each representing a different virtue. So those eight virtues include family, knowledge, career, helpful people, children, relationships, fame, and wealth. So each of the virtue is represented by a symbol such as the ano. So for the family or the past is represented by wood, foot, east, and the color green. For the knowledge and spirituality, it is represented by a hand or the colors black, blue, and green. As for the career, it is represented by a water, ear, north, and the color black. For the helpful people or traveler or father, it is represented by a head or the colors gray, white, and black. As for the children, creativity, and future, it is represented by metal, mouth, west, and the color white. For the relationships and marriage or mother, it is represented by organs and the colors red, pink, and white. For the fame, it is represented by fire, eye, south, and the color red. And lastly, for the wealth, it is represented by a hip and the colors green, purple, and red. So each of these eight circles and values is accompanied by three lines, which is why it is called the eight triagrams. Some of which are broken lines, and this represents the yin lines, while the rest are solid, which represents the yang lines.
So, good morning once again, everyone. So, for this part, we will be talking about our semantic diagram. Taoism, as we have learned from the discussion, believes that Chai flows through everything. This Chai is the energy present in and guiding everything in the universe. The Tao Te Ching, which is said to be authored by Lao Tzu, serves as guides for behavior and spiritual ways of living in harmony with this energy. because as represented by the yin and the yang, everything in the universe kay connected gid sila, and nothing makes sense by itself. No man is an island, and being happy has to do with your relationship with what's around you, may it be with nature, may it be family. This is why Taoism's concept of salvation kay mas nakasenter siya around this life rather than the afterlife, participating in the eternal cycle of the natural world. Salvation, according to Taoism, is when we are perfectly aligned with life and with the cosmic forces that sustain it. The key to salvation is if we open our hearts to the fundamental teachings of Taoism. Only then we will be able to achieve harmony and thus happiness.
Now, let's talk about the fundamental teachings of Taoism. First, simplicity, patience, and compassion. When life can get complicated quite easily, but sometimes all we need to do is to get back to the basics. When feeling overwhelmed, these guidelines present essential rules in how to manage actions, relationships, and self-worth in a few concise sentences. Number two, going with the flow. In life, rather than fighting against the condition in our lives, we can allow things to take their natural course. This also means that when we don't know what to do nothing. Instead, only jump at the opportunities when you feel ready. Number three, letting go. It is the only true constant in life, change, and death. It is not an easy thing to do, but accepting facts of life can release you from as much as suffering and bring freedom in life. Taoism teaches us that we must let go and allow life to take its course. And lastly, harmony. The Chinese concept of yin and yang describes nature in dualities with two opposite, complementary and interdependent forces. In other words, two halves balancing together that make a whole. Yin and yang always flows and changes with time. One aspect increases as the other decreases, and this balance continues as a pattern in nature. With these four fundamental teachings of Taoism, examining and understanding these patterns in ourselves and around us bring us more balance in life.